Hello, Love Monanjaya here. Welcome to Python Programming Tutorial number 3, Lists and Tuples Part 1. Part 1 covers what a list is, how to define a list, how to add values to a list, and how to access the values in a list. So, what is a list? A list is a data structure that stores a list of ordered values. You can think of it as a variable that is capable of storing more than one value or item at a time. So let's open our IDE. So I open my IDLE, IDLE, stands for Integrated Development and Learning Environment. Open a new file. Then we save this new file. I suggest that you create a folder where you'll be storing the exercises for this course. We are going to call our program list demo. Yes, like that. Save. Okay, my program file is ready and it's titled listdemo.py up there, as you can see. To declare or define a list, you simply type the name of the list there and then you assign the values. So our first fruit is orange. These are of the string type, so you have to put quotation marks around them. We have our banana there. We have apple. Then mango. Then finally, grapes. Okay, so to define a list, you state the name of the list and then the values enclosed in square brackets. So I have an opening square bracket there and a closing square bracket. Okay, and then the values in there separated by commas. So we've just created ourselves a list of fruits, and we can confirm that this is a list by using the type function. Type fruits. So we need to print this out. So we run this program and it tells us that the fruits data structure is a list. We remove that. So we have our list called fruits. Now let's print out the entire list. To print out the list, we simply say print fruits. We run it and we have our list of fruits. To access individual values in the fruits list, we use what is known as an index. So we do it like this. Print fruits, square bracket, index, and close square bracket. Do this. So this will give us the first value, which is orange. So each value here has an index, and the first value is always at index 0. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything begins at 0. So 0 means the first item. 1 means the second. Let's try that. Banana. This one. So index 1 is banana. Index 0 is orange. And then index 4 gives us grapes. So this is index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So don't forget that the first one is always 0. So grapes, that's the fourth. What if we said index 5? If we say index 5, we'll get an error. And it says list index out of range. Because we have index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Index 5 would have given us the 6th item. And we do not have the 6th item, so we are out of range. This index is out of range. It's a common error when dealing with lists or anything that involves an index. So look out for that one. We change that back to, let's say 1. So we have our value there. That's how we access individual values. You can also use a variable to hold or store what you have accessed from a list. Let's create a variable called fruit1. We say fruit1 is equal to fruits index 3. So index 3 will give us mango. Okay, and then here we say print fruit1. Let's run it. We have mango. The fruit1 variable now contains what is at index 3 in the fruits list, and that is mango. Okay, so we close that. Okay, so remove this. Don't need it for now. I was just demonstrating something. We can also change the values contained in a list, and this is how we do it. Simply say fruits. Then here we supply the index. Here we say print fruits list. So instead of orange up there, we now have yellow. We've replaced that with this. So let's take it back to orange. So just copy this. Orange. And when we run our program, our orange is back. So that's how we replace values or individual values in a list. We can also delete members of a list, and we do that by simply using the keyword or reserved word del, short for delete, and we say fruits. So what this statement does is that it's going to remove the first item, which is orange. So we are going to see now what it will give us. Orange should not be part of the list anymore. Yes, orange is missing. We are starting from banana here. Yes, orange is missing, and we have banana as the first value or item. Okay, let's keep that. To add values to a list, we use the append method. So we type the name of the list, in our case fruits, then dot append, and open brackets. So now we are adding back our orange, but it's not going to be at index 0. Append adds a value right at the end of the list. Okay, so orange will now appear at the end of the list. So let's see what that does. Okay, so we have banana, apple, mango, grapes, and orange at the end. Okay, so that's what the append does. So here we had deleted orange, so it disappeared from its first position, and then we added it at the end. So we now have that new list there with orange at the end instead of at the beginning. We can also declare an empty list. We'll call this one list 1. This is how an empty list is declared. Just that. List equals, then open and closing square brackets. So that creates a new list. Let's see what it will give us if we say print list 1, which is a blank list. We have that. So this simply means our list is a blank list. It's not containing anything. List 1 dot append hello. Then let's print out list 1 again and see. Okay, so list 1 now has one value, which is hello. We can add another value. Place it there. So say list 1 dot append two. Put the number 2 there, integer 2. Let's run it and see what it gives us. So we have hello and 2. Now notice that hello has quotes around it, these quotes here, and 2 doesn't. It's because 2 is an integer and hello is a string. So values in a list can be of any data type. You can have a combination of data types in one list. Now let's look at what is referred to as slicing. Let me just maximize my screen there. Slicing refers to accessing a range of values in a list. You can call it a sublist if you like. Okay, and this is how we do it. So first, let me just print out the full list. So let me print out the full list in its current state. Okay, so the current list starts from banana and ends with orange. Remember we had changed, we deleted orange and then later appended it. So now orange is the last item. Okay, this is the current state of our list. So now let's do some slicing. Okay, so we'll say print fruits 0 full colon 2 and then the closed square bracket. We do that. So this will give us a range of 2. So we have banana and apple, the first 2. This one and that. Now let me explain what's happening here. The first value represents the index of the first item in your list or the sublist. And then the second value indicates the position of the last item in the range that you have selected. This 2 is not index 2, it is actually index 2 minus 1. That's why we got orange and banana. It's not index 2, I repeat, it's index 2 minus 1. So if we said 3 there, what we are going to get is banana, apple, and mango. But we know that index 3 is grapes. So index 3 is excluded. So what we have is index 0, index 1, and index 2. Index 3 is excluded. So the value that you put here, that index is excluded. Or view it as that number minus 1. So this is index 3 minus 1, which is index 2. Let me just demonstrate that further by putting a 1 there. We are going to have only one item selected, which is banana. Why? Because this one is index 1 minus 1, which is 0. So we are talking of a range of 0 to 0. So it will be the same as picking the first value of a list. It's the same as picking the first value of the list. So always remember that the second value here is that value minus 1. And you get the index of the last item of the sliced list or of the sublist. What will happen if we add a 5 there? Remember, 5 is out of range. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So our index, the last index is index 4. But we put a 5 in there. Let's see what will happen if we get an error again. And instead, it gives us the entire list all the way up to the end. 5 is basically index 5 minus 1. What if we added a 10 there? It still won't give us an error. It will simply go to the end. So with slicing, you cannot go out of range. You can even use an index of 1,000, even when you just have 2 items, and it will not give you an error. All it will do is it will show you everything that is within that. So we said index 0 to 10, and this is within the range of 0 to 10, so it gave us this. It did not give us an error. Now let's change this to 2, and that's 10 to 4. So what we are saying here is that we want our range to start from the value that's at index 2 and the value that's at index 4 minus 1, which is index 3. So let's run this and see what we'll get. So at index 2, we have, this is index 0, this is index 1, and index 2 is mango, so we have our mango there. Then at index 4 minus 1, which is index 3, this one here, grapes. So we have mango and grapes. That's how slicing works. And now let's add what we call the step. This will be the third value there. Let's say 1. Let's start it from 0. Here we say 5. And step of 1. So if we do that, we are going to get the entire list. Okay. Now let's change that 1 to 2 and see what happens. We run our program. So now we have banana, we skipped apple, got mango, which is here, skipped grapes, and got orange. So with this notation, we are going to pick a range starting from index 0 up to index 5 minus 1, which is index 4. And we are going to be skipping one item. And thus, we had this banana, we skip apple, get to mango, skip grapes, get to orange. Let's change this 2 to 3. What this means now is that we'll be skipping 2 items. So we run it. So now we have the first item, banana. We skip apple and mango, and then get to grapes, and then we skip orange. So it will just give us 2 items, okay, or 2 values. So when you use 3, it means you are skipping 2 items. 4 means you skip 3 items. We run it. So now we have banana and orange. So we have banana, we skipped 1, 2, 3, and got to the 4th. So 4 means skip 3. 5 will mean skip 4, and so on. So this one also you do a -1. Okay, so 1 means you skip 0. 2, you skip 1. 3, you skip 2, and so on. Okay, so let's take this back to 1. So let's remove this 0 and see what happens. If we remove the 0, it will give us the entire list still. So not having a value there is the same as having a 0. Okay? So if we remove that, what we get again is the full list. If you leave the second position blank, you are simply saying you want everything. So if you say from 2 and you leave this blank, then you are saying you want to begin from index 2 all the way up to the end. So we run this. So our index 2 is mango. This is 0, 1, 2. On index 2 we have mango, and it went all the way up to the end, up to orange. So if you leave the second position blank, it will go all the way to the end of the list. And if you leave the step part blank, the third position, it means it should go all the way to the end without skipping anything. So if we leave that blank and then we put 2 there, then we are saying a range that starts from the beginning all the way up to the end, but skipping an item. So we have banana, apple was skipped, so we got mango here, and then from mango, grapes skipped, then we got to orange. To display a reversed version of the list, we simply put -1 as the step there, and orange has now become the first and banana is the last. We can also use negative figures as an index. Let me just remove this. So let's see what happens if we say fruits with index of -1. This will give us the last item in the list, which is orange. This one here. So that's what it has given us, orange. -2 gives us the value that is just before the last value. So in this case, grapes. So when you're using negatives, you are moving from right to left. If we change that to -3, we'll get the value that is just before the grapes, which is mango. So this is -1, index -1, this is index -2, this is index -3, this is index -4, and that's index -5. Now let's get back to slicing. We use negative figures this time. So let's say we have -1 to -3, And then step, we use -1. If we run this, we are going to have orange and grapes. Remember the -1, we are beginning from the right, going to the left, so we get orange, then grapes. This is what we have here. At -1, we have orange. At -2, we have grapes. -3, index -3 is not included in the selection. Okay? So when you see a -3 here, reduce it by 1, which becomes -2. Okay, so in this case it will be -3 plus 1, making it 2. Okay, so the index reflected here, always remember, is not included in the selection. So when you see a -3 here, then you know that you are dealing with -2. What you are going to see is a range of index -1 to index -2. So if we change that to index -4, we are going to have values from index -1, index -2, and index -3. The actual -4 here will not be part of this selection. So you can also slice from right to left using negatives. The step value here cannot be left blank, as it was when we were dealing with the positive figures. If you leave this blank, you are going to have nothing. So there should always be a value there, a -1 or a -2. If you say -2, then you are skipping one item. So we have orange at index -1, then grapes, we skipped that and went straight to mango, which is here. So same principles, only that it's reversed. So 2 skips 1, 3 skips 2, 4 skips 3, and so on. Finally, you can also delete a range. So say delete fruits 0:2. So in other words, we are saying delete everything beginning at index 0 up to index 2 minus 1. So the first 2 have been deleted by that statement. So let's just the print statement there to see the current status of our fruits, list. So the first 2 are no longer there. Mango is now the first. Okay, we only have 3 left because we deleted this range of items. Part 1 ends here. In part 2, we'll look at methods that we use on lists, and we'll also cover tuples. Always remember that programming is practical, so practice what we have covered. You have to do the actual coding in order to become good at programming. So with that said, see you next time.